Video 3, National Anthems. Language and even literature have a big role in producing a sense of one nation, of unity, one culture. Remember, I told you that all the Swedes read the same works of classical Swedish literature. However, they do so often in roundabout ways. Literary critics sometimes point at them and explain them in detail. If you're curious for an example, you can read the extra chapters from Anderson's book, where he really talks about how language and even literature and communications create the nation. In this video, I'm not going to talk about the more sophisticated ways literature creates the nation in a roundabout fashion, but on texts that are very explicitly national, specifically national anthems. We'll start with two very clear examples, translations of the German and Austrian anthems. The German anthem famously begins with Deutschland, Deutschland über alles. That literally means Germany above everyone else and everything else. Our nation is more important than anything else in the world. It is also better than all the other nations, all the other peoples of the world. And implicit in it and explicit in it in certain moments of German history is that it should take over and control all the rest. So the anthem goes, Germany, Germany, above all in the world. When for protection and defense, the nation needs protecting and defending all the time against the rest. There's this us versus them mentality that is quite typical to nations. It also stands brotherly together. Brotherly. What does it mean? Brotherly together. It's an idea of unity. We are all brothers, but it's the metaphor here, the image here is not just of national unity, but of a family unity. We are all brothers, we come from the same mother and father. We are a family. There is kinship, a sense of kinship between all in the nation. Very typical of the imagining of the nation as a ethnic community, as a family. And notice that this is a brotherhood, not in a way that also is sexist and excludes women at the same time, as it suggests that the entire nation is united. I'm skipping a little bit. Unity and justice and freedom for the German fatherland. Towards these, let us all strive, all of us together, brotherly with heart and hand, unity and justice and freedom. Again, there's a call for unity and brotherhood. And Germany, maybe you noticed, is called the fatherland, a fatherland, in Hebrew, moledet. But this idea that the country, the nation, is a figure of a father. It's the head of the family, and we are all descended from this nation and should obey it. Unity that's imagined as family. In a way, Austria's anthem is an even better example for some of the features of nationalism that we've been discussing here. And I'm reading. Land of mountains, land of the river, land of fields, land of cathedrals, land of hammers with promising future, home to great daughters and sons. Whose sons and daughters are these? Not of individual families, but of the nation as a whole. Every citizen, every person living there is presented as a daughter or a son of the nation, and the nation as a whole is imagined as a home, the place where the family lives. People highly gifted with beautiful arts, much praised Austria. We praised Austria as an entity. It seems like it has a life of its own. strongly feuded for, fiercely hard fought for, right? You have to fight, you have to struggle for your nation. The nation only exists through a struggle with somebody else, perhaps you could argue. Thou liest in the middle of the continent like a strong heart, right? Austria is in the middle of Europe, and so it's like a heart. Since the early days of ancestors, thou hast the early days of ancestors. That's super important. The early days, we are imagining the nation as a very old, is going back to ancient history, even though Austria in its modern form is only about like 100 years old. Before that, it was part of this huge Austro-Hungarian empire and not really a nation state. There is talk of ancestors, forefathers, as if all the people in Austria come from the same genetic lineage, the same original family. We have the same ancestors. This is the imagination of the nation as very ancient and coming from the same actual families, the same tribes, borne the burden of high mission, much tried Austria. Bravely towards the new ages, see us striding free and faithful, serious and full of hope, unified, let us in jolly choir, right? Unified, and the image here is of a choir, a group of voices singing together in unison, in unity. That's the ideal image or of the imagined unified community of the nation. You see, the song imagines itself being sung by everybody together as a way to symbolize and foster this unity of the community that is imagined, that all these people singing together, even if they don't actually know each other. Pledge allegiance to the fatherland. Again, this idea of the fatherland in other cultures, it's called the motherland or the homeland. Much beloved Austria, and we are meant to love our country, love our nation, and have allegiance to it. I'll turn to the United States national anthem, where things are a little bit more subtle than in the previous anthems that we read. An anthem, the word anthem means a song that praises something. A national anthem praises the nation state. It is a kind of symbol for the nation. It stands for the nation and stands for the unity of the nation. It's a little bit like a flag. Actually, it's a lot like a flag. The US national anthem is called the Star-Spangled Banner. It's actually named after the US flag. A banner is another word for flag, and star-spangled means decorated with stars, exactly like the US flag. The anthem is based on a poem by one Francis Scott Key, who is basically only known for this one poem. It was written during the 1812 war between the US and Britain, and this war basically consolidated the US independence. So the War of Independence was at the end of the 18th century, but there was another war much less known that really consolidated this independence. The poem tells of an American victory in the war, and the flag is a symbol here for that victory and for hope and for a kind of a common destiny. Let's read some stanzas from the anthem. Usually they only sing the first stanza, so it should be familiar to you if you've been watching American movies and things like that. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, we dragged up at the twilight's last gleaming? Can you see the flag that we raised in the evening? It is still flying in the morning because we fought successfully all night. Notice the we, it is a group effort. We all raise the flag together, we all fight together. So, who exactly belongs to this we? Maybe the people in that situation, in the fight, but it's also very flexible, so it can include all Americans in this we, right? Whenever we have a we, some people, you, whenever we have a we, you can include whoever you want in that we. It's a very flexible word. Now he's going to talk about the flag, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched. Like during the time they are fighting, they keep seeing the flag were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Throughout the fighting, they saw the flag waving again and again, and it was proof to them that the defense was successful. He asks again, oh, say, does that star spangled banner yet wave? And he asks, oh, say, and he asks a rhetorical question for which the answer is going to be yes. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? And now tell me, is the flag still waving? Yes. Where is it waving? Where can you see this flag that gave us hope in the fight? And we have the phrase that repeats at the end of every stanza, a very famous phrase, over the land of the free, brings forward this core value of American identity that we are free, we believe in liberty, we saved ourselves from English tyranny. How and then there's talk of a home. Home of the brave shows that the anthem thinks of the country not just as a territory, not just as where you put your own homes, but as a home in and of itself, a place where the family lives. The US is presented as a home, so by implication, all these brave Americans are a kind of family, an imagined family, an imagined community. On the shore dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silent reposes. This is talking about the war, so it makes sense to talk about foes, enemies. Still, it's really telling and interesting that the anthem includes talk of enemies because a nation is often built against an enemy, against difference from other people. In the US's case, it's about independence from the British Empire. So the anthem will have a mention of the others, either by name or more often just a general danger to the nation that has to keep its borders and its people safe from. What is that which the breeze over the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half concealed, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected now, shines in the stream. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh long may it wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm skipping a stanza. Oh, thus be it ever. I wish it's going to be like this forever. When free men shall stand, Americans are presented as free. Here we see a commitment to this value of freedom that might be a universal value. Freedom can affect everybody, but here it's about a particular U.S. American way of seeing themselves as free because of the context of the national anthem. So it's not a song about freedom, it's a song about American freedom. Between their loved homes, again, the country is your home, and the world's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven rescued land praise the power capital P here. It means God. God is saving America that hath made the preserved us a nation. Praise the power. That power is God. Notice the capital P that hath made and preserved us a nation. So it's giving kind of spiritual origins for America as a nation, right? America, when this was written, was a very young nation. They didn't talk about ancestors, but they did talk about moment in history when a superpower, a spiritual power, the power of God, turned America into a nation. And then conquer we must when our cause is just. Okay, the nation always thinks of itself as on the side of justice. We are always the good guys. And this be our motto: in God is our trust. Sense that God is on the US's side. That this sense that God is on the US's side, it's on our side, and the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. The national anthem fosters a sense of uniqueness and righteousness of the American people. It also presents the country, the nation state really, as a home, suggesting that those who live in this home are the same family. With the phrase home of the brave, it's a kind of imagined community, fosters this community, and at the same time flatters it as free and brave. To conclude our class, the nation state controls certain bordered off territory. The territory is protected from internal and especially external threats by the state. The nation state tends to foster a sense of difference and even superiority from other people. It is based on this uniqueness and unity within the nation, one that is often explained through an idea of joint origins, sometimes even joint ancestors. Each nation feels it is unique, but surprisingly, almost the entire world is organized in nations. Nations are often thought of as going against global unity, against all people working to solve the world's problems together. But in a way, nationalism and the nation is a very global phenomenon. We all belong to nations, but each of us is different in that we belong to different nations. So it's both very global and very local. How did nationalism become such a global phenomenon? And how did our world become so connected that a global phenomenon is even possible? Well, that's part of the questions that we're going to ask in the course. Next unit, we will start discussing colonialism as a way to answering these questions.